Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome to World of Warships for our Saturday edition video, as we're going to be checking out the Kitakaze today and looking at a multitude of things. But first off, we're going to start off discussing what type of destroyer is the Kitakaze. You have hybrid destroyers, which are a mix between either a torpedo destroyer or a gunboat destroyer. I would say Kitakaze is a hybrid destroyer, though she leans towards her guns. So she's kind of between a hybrid to gunboat destroyer for multiple reasons. One of the reasons being is her torpedoes. She only gets one rack of torpedoes. This sextuple, so 6 torpedoes that hit very hard. You have 23,767 damage with the currently mounted torpedoes. These are the standard 12-kilometer range. With a 171 second reload time. So she doesn't lean towards torpedoes just because she gets a limited amount and has a very long reload time. Granted that they hit quite hard. Okay, but you do get access to a torpedo reload booster, but kind of makes up for it somewhat, so to speak. But what she does superbly well is her 100mm guns. So with the build I have set up so far, we are rocking a 2.6 second reload time. And you get 4 turrets, so 8 guns in total, 2 guns per turret. So these guns are just epic. They do really good. The thing that makes them really fantastic is their base armor penetration capacity of the high explosive shells is 30mm, but if you put IFHE on it, you bump up to 37mm. Granted, you're going to be giving up half your fire chance, so you drop down to 2.5% rather than 5% stock. Okay, so fantastic destroyer. She's a hybrid, also because of her concealment. When you build for max conceal, 6.1 kilometers. So she's a hybrid that leans towards the guns, just because these guns are phenomenal and very long torpedo reload time. So her armor layout is pretty standard, 19mm across the hull of the ship, and you're going to have that standard 13mm armor plating for the guns. So these guns can't easily be knocked out, as most guns can on destroyers. So if you work that to your advantage, of course, you can get a leg up on your enemy destroyer that you may be dueling. But going right into looking at the modules first. So there's nothing to upgrade with the guns. Right now, 2.6 second reload time, 180 degree turn time of 12.9 seconds. HE shell damage, AP shell damage is there. The first upgrade you're going to want to go for is the hull. Now I have a seasoned commander who has an enhanced survivability expert on him, which we'll talk about. But stock would be 19,800 with him on, and 24,300 with him on. Okay. If I take the commander off, these health pool count would be lower. But you want to go for your health pool first, just because it increases your action time in a battle, even though maybe you want to get the guns or the torpedoes first. But I've had multiple games where I've made meaningful impacts with just a couple hundred health left in the game. So hull first. You can also see there's a buff to your A defense, brings up to 59 rating, and then also 66 is where it gets you with your rating overall with these two. Then looking at the torpedoes, your stock torpedoes are, they reload slightly faster, but they only have a 10-kilometer range and they hit for 20,967, 67 knots, okay? So these torpedoes are okay, but you're going to be running into a lot more 12-kilometer radar and such at the higher tiers with the Russian ships, and having that additional range really helps, especially if there's an enemy ship pushing away from you. So having these helps with the greater damage impact. I mean, you saw 2 torpedoes completely destroyed a Brindisi, which we got a Dove Strike on for I think it's like 32,000 of his total health. And you get that additional range. Now you also get the mean torpedoes. The type F3, also on the Shimakaze. They have 157 second reload time, so 14 seconds less. but they do 8-kilometer range, and they only do 21,000 damage, but they're fast, 76 knots. So you can make meme torpedo build out of Shimikaze. I've done a video on Shimikaze. I have Shimikaze currently. I'm stacking Research Bureau resets on it right now, so you don't see it below. The guns, you have stock the 11.3 kilometer, and then you get up to the 12.5 kilometer with the upgrades. So I would say go for your hull first, go for the gunfire control system, and then go for torpedoes. I've already picked up the F3 just for memes if I ever decide I want to use it. Maybe like co-op, right? That would be a little bit more of a use out of these type of torpedoes. But in general, these torpedoes are better to use all around. Now going at the upgrades. So the first slot we have the main armaments modification 1. This reduces the risk of our main battery and torpedoes becoming incapacitated by negative 20%. Our main battery survivability plus 50% in addition to torpedo tube survivability plus 50%. And if the main battery or torpedo tubes become incapacitated, the repair time is negative 20%. You have auxiliary armaments, you don't have secondaries, your AA is kind of and you don't take a magazine modification because you can take the Juliet Charlie combat signal, which completely eliminates the risk of your ship's magazine detonating, and you want to run this in randoms ranked clan battles. I wouldn't recommend it for co-op. These are expensive. We don't need to talk about damage control party. You have damage control system, risk of catching fire, risk of flooding, -5, -3%. You don't need this. The standard, what you should run for is the engine room protection. Risk of engine becoming incapacitated in addition to steering gears is -20%, and the engine repair time -20%, and steering gears repair time -20%. I would, however, recommend going for the engine boost modification number 1 here. So it extends the action time of your engine boost by plus 30%. So if we look at the engine boost here, it'd be adding on 30% to that 120 seconds. So for some reason in my mind, I just want to jump to saying that's 154 seconds. That's just a number that comes to my mind. I can check it out though. 120 plus 130, 36. Yeah, so it's 156, so it's really close. So you come in here to your special upgrades, and you can see that we can pick up this upgrade for 12,750 coal when utilizing the coupon. So I would recommend, because you're going to be likely using your propulsion, helping you juke salvos with going back and forth, accelerating, deaccelerating, and having that longer time just helps overall. So I would recommend going for that. But I'm saving my coupon right now for a different ship for this month, because those coupons refresh every month. The third slot, I've gone for the aiming systems modification 1. The main reason I have done this is to improve my main battery shell dispersion. So I'm getting tighter horizontal and vertical dispersion by running this upgrade, meaning that I'm likely to land more shells when I'm going up against enemy destroyers. You also get the added bonus of torpedo tube speed plus 20%. And there's secondaries there, but it doesn't matter. If you weren't going to go for this, I don't recommend torpedo tubes just because. Take the Yukumo, at tier 9 if you want to do that. No, really this is the one to go for. You have main battery modification 2, which helps your traverse speed, because these guns, they don't turn the fastest, 12.9, but they're okay. As long as you're just being aware of where enemy destroyers could possibly be around you. So this is the golden ticket, in my opinion, that you want to run here on the Kitakaze. For the fourth slot, I would recommend taking propulsion modification 1. Time taken to reach full engine power when accelerating, -50%. This allows you to be able to juke salvos completely. It helps much more so when you're at that range of 12 kilometers, or even a little farther if you want to say so, or helping juke destroyers that you're having gun engagements with. Because your maneuverability overall, rudder shift time is 4.6 seconds, but your turning circle radius is 730 meters. So it's quite poor in that regard. You could take steering gears. I know other destroyer players who like to run this typically on destroyers, reducing rudder shift time. But I find the propulsion modification helps me save health when I'm utilizing the WS keys of accelerating, deaccelerating. For the 5th slot, I'd recommend taking Concealment System Modification 1. You can just really build in the concealment and make the Kitakaze a really strong threat to enemy destroyers with 6.1 kilometer detectability when you build into it max. So to me, if I can get my concealment that far down on a hybrid destroyer that leans to a gunboat destroyer, I'm definitely going to do this because I like to pick fights with enemy destroyers when I feel the cards are in my hand. You saw in yesterday's video, which will be added at the end here, we went against a black, and then we went against a... We fired at a Kitakaze briefly, but just having that helped. But then also when we going to the enemy Kitakaze with the torpedo at the end. So just going for the concealment, I think overall is really good, and that plays into Kitakaze's strengths in my opinion. Alternatively, if you didn't want to go for a concealed build on the Kitakaze, you could go for steering gears modification 2, which reduces your rudder shift time and improves your steering gears repair time. But I mean, overall, this is just standard what you want to run on Kitakaze. For the 6 slots, I'm going to recommend you take the main battery reload, main battery modification 3. This gets your reload time down -12%, but it comes at a cost where your main battery traverse speed isn't turning quite as quickly with a -13%. So you can see 2.6 seconds is what we have right now, and it's really good to run this with. You're not building into torpedoes. You could take gunfire control system to extend your range, but we're going to talk about that with the commander. So increasing your DPM is fantastic to do with the Kitakaze. Auxiliary armaments modification, you're not an AA, you don't have secondaries, so this is just a waste to run, in my opinion, on the Kitakaze. As far as consumables, standard 5-second action time for destroyer. We have a 38-second reload time because we're taking the November Foxtrot. I take it off, you're going to see it goes up to 40 seconds. So that's helping us here. I don't think I mentioned speed, 37.8. If I take the Serum mic off, 36. So I want that additional speed. I value it here with the Kitakaze. Our smokescreen, standard 20-second action time, dispersion time, 93 seconds. If I run this one, extends it up to 23 seconds, so I get a slightly longer smoke screen if I'm divvying up with some clanmates and just kind of want to help them out or help out an allied cruiser, though it's very difficult to drop smokes for allied cruisers. You saw in yesterday's video I dropped one for Seattle, but you didn't use it, and you have a very long reload time on these smoke screens, over 2 minutes, so you have to be very wise and mindful when you go to use them. Engine boost plus 8%, so this pretty sure gets you at 40 knots, if not maybe just over if you're not playing with your rudder. We talked about being able to build into that with the 2nd slot with the engine boost modification 1, which I definitely recommend. So it's very helpful to have that on Kitakaze, especially when you have the faster ships at even destroyers and cruisers at the higher tiers that can actually run you down. So just being able to get away from them with the engine boost really helps and comes in handy. Then you have the Kitakaze's. I would call this the Kitakaze's kind of trump card. Having the torpedo reload booster. These torpedoes hit so hard, and the fact that you have 6, and then you can pop this, and then you have an additional 6 in the water, so you can have 12 torpedoes in the water, which you saw me use this against the Mecklenburg the other day, is very helpful. Especially if you're dealing with ships pushing up on you, and let's say you're behind an island, you can take them out as they push into you. So very helpful. So let's go look at the commander here. Seem to be making pretty good time. I have a commander from the Armory. His name is Takao Suzuki. So let's just go ahead and hop into the Army, and I'm going to show you him. I recommend him because of his enhanced skill, which is an enhanced survivability expert. So if I scroll down to the bottom, you can see I've picked up both of them. They both have the same ones for 1,500 doubloons. Those for 35,000 coals. This is what I'm running here on this line. I think I have the other one on my Kitakaze, if I'm not mistaken. But the enhanced survivability expert, so instead of it being 350 for each tier, it's 400. So at tier 9 times 50, you get an additional 450 health. otherwise that you wouldn't have. So that's why I like to run him. You can also see he has some skills for a aircraft carrier, and then for emergency repair specialist, to say like a battleship, I'm guessing here. So you can run him maybe if you have a premium ship to get those additional perks out of, but he's for 35,000 coal, or you can pick up his relative for 1,500 doubloons, so that's why you pick him up. So you can see here the enhanced skill. So what am I going to recommend you build into? A couple different options we can look at. I'm going to tell you the option I'm going to go for, and I'm having this also with Hugamo in mind, but I would still build the same if this is going to be my Kitakaze designated commander, because I want to be able to have Kitakaze to use when there's ranked battles, that type of thing. So the bread and butter build is what I'm going to recommend you first. If you've been around here long enough, you know what I mean. Well, you're going to take your first 10 points and you're going to build it into preventive maintenance. Risk of modules becoming incapacitated, negative 30%. This is your main turrets, your torpedoes, steering, and engine. Then for 3 points, you want to use last stand. So this would be if your engine or your steering gears become incapacitated, you remain partially able to sustain speed and maneuverability. Must have, or you're dead in the water, or you're just making weird circles. 6 points, survivability expert, to get to that survivability up to 24,300 with our seasoned commander. Very good stuff. And then you can just rock fantastic concealment on the Kitakaze, so why not? So we're going to take concealment expert to get 6.1 kilometers. Okay, so then after this, this is where you can kind of, that's up to you what you would like to run first. Myself, you know, I've taken the Adrenaline Rush and the IFHE. So probably what I'm going to say first is take Adrenaline Rush, just because as you lose health, your guns are reloading that much quicker. And if you use your economic bonuses with your Commander XP, well, you can quickly get up to the Inertia Fuse for HE shells, where the main battery HE shell armor penetration capability is improved by plus 25%, but it halves your chances of causing a fire when you take the IFHE skill. So that's why we're at that 2.5%. But as I mentioned before, we're penetrating 37mm, and there's a lot of 32mm at tier 9, tier 8, tier 9, tier 10, and even on the some of the super ships, depending on where you're aiming. So being able to have that over 32mm penetration capacity means that we're able to do a lot more raw damage at the expense that instead of having 5% chance of causing a fire on target, we're doing 2.5%. But to me, these really aren't the fire starter destroyer lines in the game. But you can still set fires, it's just your chances are not as high. So this is a 16-point build. What I intend to go for next is the main battery and AA expert. What this does is it extends your range to from 12.5 kilometers to 15 kilometers. So you can be very much harassing enemy ships at range. And if you're using the propulsion, you can make it even difficult for them to land salvos on you when you're accelerating and juking. And when I'm endorsing this skill, I'm not saying play at 14, play at 15 kilometers. It's just when you don't have any destroyers, you don't have any cruisers, like yesterday's video, we didn't have any close engagements, but we had to see Motto running away from us. And we could have probably more easily farmed or taken on that St. Louis with the main battery AA expert, because we've been, I would have been keeping about 14.5 kilometers if I can, or range away from him. So this allows opportunities that otherwise you do not have. You also get a bonus of damage from AA shell explosions, so it goes up to 1690. So that's nice, but mainly the range is what you really want to go for, just because you have such fantastic DPM already at 2.6 seconds. Then I'd recommend taking something like Incoming Fire Alert, so when you're playing that longer range at times, not saying you always are, just when you are, you know that there's incoming fire with ships that have fired at you from a distance of more than 4.5 kilometers. So this was what I would recommend as a whole. An alternative build, if you don't want to play for the additional range, I would say drop the main battery in AA Expert and pick up the main battery in AA Specialist. This is a very second close for me. Your artillery reload time is going to drop down to 2.5 seconds. So instead of 2.6, 2.5, you still get a buff to your AA, this time being your continuous AA damage, where it goes up plus 21, so 235 continuous damage. So that's all right, but you're taking it mainly in mind for your reload time, and you stack it on Russian. You could be rocking 2.3, 2.2, 2.1 second reload time, just depending on how things are going. And then that leaves you with 2 points. So what would I recommend after taking that? Probably what I'm going to recommend is take Priority Target. It's just really good overall. It gives you a lot of information, and it helps you know how many enemy ships may be targeting you as a destroyer player if you're kind of open gunboating per se. So I would recommend for that as a different build. If I was going to take anything else, if you wanted to go an anti-conceal build, so you would be dropping the concealment here in slot 5 and taking this. Then on your commander, you're dropping Consumables Expert. You could pick up the Fearless Brawler. Reduces main battery reload time after your ship has been detected by the enemy. Or you can actually just keep your... You can keep the Conceal overall, right? And then 2.6, you're dropping down to like 2.4, just under 2.4 with this. So you're going all out for the reload time, and then maybe you drop IFHE and you take main battery and A Specialist to have even a quicker reload and still something like this. So this could be something else you could do, but really I think this is your primary first choice, and then this would be a good primary second choice. So that's what I intend to run here on the Kitakaze, and I'm keeping this also in mind for Hugumo as I continue to grind this commander up and pick up Hugumo basically after I'm done with this video. So if you have questions regarding anything I didn't discuss on the Kitakaze, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you're running on Kitakaze, what you have found to be helpful for you, might help some other people who are checking out the comments below. So if you liked today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you did not, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe if you do want to see more. If you're subscribed, thanks so much. I really appreciate it, and we'll catch you next time. Take care.